And we are live once again. Hello and welcome to the Prince Magnum channel where hot rodding and romance do coexist. I'm your host, Prince Magnum. Welcome to In Your Face. And this is going to be another Q&A, and we're going to talk a little bit also about the mini movie that's coming up. It should be ready to be released early August. Okay. Uh, Time schedule's looking good on that. And so if you've got any questions about the mini movie or just questions in general for me to answer, now is definitely the time to ask those questions. Um, First things first, uh, right now, as we're waiting for people to come on, because I know we talked about doing this live stream here, you know here a little bit later on, kind of a second live stream and that sort of thing. um, let's see, we're also going to talk about some of the allies that the Prince Magnum channel also has. We're just going to go over a lot of different things, and hopefully it doesn't take super long, because this phone just does not like to hold a charge. So hopefully everything goes well and I can answer everybody's questions. Okay. First things first, while I'm waiting for people to join in. um, let's talk briefly about some of the people that have kind of been helping the Prince Magnum channel along. Right at the top of the list, let's talk about Laz's Bar and Grill. Right now, they're kind of in some experimental stage stuff where they're kind of changing around the schedule of things that go on throughout the week. But every time that I go into Laz's Bar and Grill, they're, even though I'm in recovery, it's been a long time since I've had a drink. It's August the 7th on my 39th birthday. It'll be a total of 12 and a half years. They really don't pay any mind to that. A lot of bars that I've went into in the past, because of the fact that I don't drink, they weren't really keen on me exactly being there. Then, I was there to sing karaoke. So other than that, they really don't get into the fact that, it's like, well, okay, he's in recovery. He's still here. Yeah, he's drinking all the soda up, but, it's one of those things, because I'm not drinking, they're not exactly super happy I'm there. They're just kind of glad that it's another person there. That's about it. Laz's Bar and Grill is a totally different ball game. They're not only glad that I'm there, but they welcome it. If anything, because I mean, because I'm there, of course, more people come, and those people will drink. Uh, so it's kind of, it all comes out in the wash, if you will. So for them, they're just glad that somebody else is coming to the bar. Okay. So, uh, a special shout out to Laz's Bar and Grill over in Leadington, Missouri. They're, again, I can't say enough good about them. I mean, they're very welcoming, whether you drink alcohol or not. And we know that I don't, okay? Not anymore. We don't want me drinking. It's just not a pretty sight. So, a big special thank you to Laz's Bar and Grill for allowing the Prince Magnum channel in there to sing karaoke. And while we're on the subject of karaoke, let's talk about DJ Party Pro. Um, uh, the particular gentleman who runs karaoke over there at Laz's Bar and Grill is none other than a guy by the name of Brian. Fantastic guy. Absolutely really nice. I'm always glad to see him, and he does amazing work. When I go up on stage, I mean, he does everything he can to provide the best possible songs for me. Uh, you know, which is, I mean, everyone that I've ever encountered from Party Pro, they're just good people all around. And, they have a wide selection of music. Even though I've not showed it on camera, I've been able to do stuff from like the Monkees. Of course, we all know I've done stuff by Neil Diamond, ZZ Top, Kiss. Unfortunately, I lost it, but I even rickrolled the bar one night. Maybe I might have to do that again and make sure we get it on camera and then load it to YouTube. But yes, I actually rickrolled the bar one night, and of course, Brian, him and I had a big laugh about it, and just a great guy. Which Brian's just a cross section of Party Pro. I mean, they've got a lot of great people, and their company does travel as far as St. Louis, to my knowledge. So, I mean, just goes to show that these guys are really on top of their game. Um, So, and because, I'm going there, they're supporting the Prince Magnum channel, and obviously the Prince Magnum channel is supporting them. So it's a give and take sort of thing. We kind of all help each other out. So I can't thank them enough for making sure that, when I go up, I sound great every time. Uh, they do amazing work, and it shows every time because the videos, I mean, granted, uh, when the videos get loaded to YouTube, a lot of it's audio from the phone and not them, because I mean, every time everyone's like, dang man, you really nailed it. So that means that they're doing sound really well, okay? Because singing a cappella by myself, it doesn't always work out, okay? Um, so you got, so a big special shout out to Laz's Bar and Grill and DJ Party Pro. Uh, the Prince Magnum channel did lose one of its allies as of recent. Bonterre Auto Parts closed its doors. The owner, he he was diagnosed with cancer, and to my knowledge, I think someone told me not too long ago that they had heard he passed away, and that is one of the sweetest guys I'd ever met. Just an absolutely great guy. Of course, I met Carburetor Carl while well, I knew him from before, but then we kind of bumped into each other again because he was working there, and it was just really, it's going to leave a hole in the Prince Magnum channel now that they're gone. But that just means that we're going to have to rely on other shops. To my knowledge, Carburetor Carl has a new job working at Meineke in Farmington, which means that they have picked up one of the best mechanics, I believe, in our area, one of the best. Because he's one of probably the last few carburetor gurus still still alive, because not many people mess with the old carburetors. Not many people understand how to work on them. And granted, Princess Faye and I together can rebuild one, but to get it dead on, you know, to get it dead on, it takes a guru. And Carburetor Carl, now working at the Farmington Meineke location, that means that they now have a carburetor guru right there in house who can do amazing work. Now, beyond that, if you need to completely restore a carburetor to its original factory condition, you're going to have to go all the way to St. Louis. Because sometimes the bodies get warped due to heat and time and things like that. There's a place up in St. Louis, but if you just need to get the insides tweaked out to where it's nearly perfect, you can take it to Carburetor Carl right there in Farmington. So uh, thankfully, Meineke picked him up, and he's still working in the area. Okay. Um, for Surviving Romance, a special shout out to Bonterre Country Mart. Bonterre Country Mart provides a lot of the food that you see cooked on Surviving Romance. They do an amazing job. Uh, a lot of times, most people, do their shopping nowadays, their major grocery shopping at Walmart, and sometimes we have to because they just don't carry it. But they carry a lot of stuff that we do use here on the Prince Magnum channel. A great deal of stuff that we use here on the Prince Magnum channel. Um, and the people there are really nice. You know, I don't think I've ever ran into anybody at Bonterre Country Mart who has ever been rude to me, ever. and we've lived in Bonne Terre creeping up on 4 years. So that's saying something, you know. And the fact that they do provide some great food for the Prince Magnum channel to cook up. Because if you're gonna run a YouTube channel and you're gonna do cooking, it's safe to say you've got to have a good grocery store or Mega Mart available to you. And believe it or not, Bonne Terre, uh, you know, uh, Bonne Terre Country Mart does an amazing job. Now, that's not to say that other ones don't do a great job. It's just that they're very close, and being as close as they are, they provide a great deal of many things that the Prince Magnum channel does use. Now, we do use other locations for some of the foods that are cooked on the Prince Magnum channel. For example, and one that definitely should get a special shout out is Dollar Tree over in Deloge. Deloge provides a great deal of many things that we use right on the Prince Magnum channel for surviving romance. And occasionally we do use a lot of their products on the cars when we show them at car shows. Project Spirit, I mean, any trophy she brings home just this year alone, we can contribute that to our friends over at Dollar Tree because they provided quality products for $1 that we use directly right on Project Spirit to make her look good for show. Now, when it comes to like polish, the chrome polish, I buy my mother's wheel polish, well, chrome polish, aluminum polish, it's all the same. I buy that directly from AutoZone. And which AutoZone? Well, take your pick from either Farmington or Deloge. Special shout out to those guys. They provide, both locations provide uh, a lot of parts for Project Spirit and Project Lena. Um, that's just one of those things. I mean, Project Spirit and Project Lena, they've got to have great locations to get the parts so they can run and run well. Uh, Especially Project Spirit. Project Spirit, uh, because of her age, you gotta have quality parts. And believe it or not, Deloge AutoZone and Farmington AutoZone do provide a great deal many parts for both Project Spirit and Project Lena, and I'm very grateful that they do. Um, on top of that, we also have Farmington O'Reilly's and Deloge O'Reilly's that also provide some of the stuff that, if you will, if Farmington can't get it, well, if AutoZone can't get it, O'Reilly's typically can. They do an amazing job there. Um, so that's very important, and these are important allies that we use here on the Prince Magnum channel. The two most important series here on the Prince Magnum channel is Surviving Romance and, of course, Do It Yourself Budget Hot Rodding. Without those places, we just could. The Prince Magnum channel would be tough to do. Okay, so special shout out to those guys for providing exactly what the channel needs to keep rocking and rolling. Real quick, I want to give another special shout out to Auto Trim Design. Uh, if you guys like the new pinstriping that's on Project Spirit, that's who we got it from. Okay, these guys provided some really awesome pinstriping, and they do decals. They do a lot of stuff for trucks, and you can't get some stuff for cars. Obviously, pinstriping, decals, things like that, and they do interiors. So obviously, this is a great place to get custom work done. So I want to give those guys a special shout out. I'm going to go ahead and give their phone number real quick, and hopefully we'll be able to do the phone number in the description below. I might have to think about it for hopefully I don't forget. But the phone number to contact them for pinstriping whether you're going to do it yourself or take it there, is area code 573. Phone number is 431 2902. So if you need pinstriping, you want to contact those guys. They will take very good care of you as far as pinstriping. And of course, I believe they also do interior. They do a lot of stuff for trucks, but they do some stuff for cars. I need to quit smoking. All right, so that covers that. Let's see. Real quick, I haven't mentioned these guys in a while, but I think I definitely need to mention them. Uh, Farmington Country Mart. They have a florist shop and they do it on a very tight budget. You know, they do their stuff on an affordable price for those of us who love romance, but don't always have a whole lot of money. They do an amazing job over there. So if you need to buy if you need to buy a bouquet and need to do it on an affordable price, and you need a good vase to put said flowers in there, they do an amazing job. So if you are in the market, need roses, and you're in the area, that sort of thing, you definitely want to go see our friends over there at Farmington Country Mart, because they do great work, great work. There's a wonderful lady back there who runs a florist shop, just fantastic woman, one of the sweetest ladies I have ever met. Anybody ever says anything bad about her is going to hear from me. All right, so that covers all of the local businesses. Real quick, I want to give a special shout out to a few YouTuber friends. Um, Obviously, they deserve it. If you've never checked out my boy on BST4 channel, you definitely should do so. He does a lot of stuff with what is known as the Panther platform from the Ford Motor Company. He does a lot of stuff with that. Crown Vics, Mercury Grand Marquis, and he even does some stuff with the Lincolns. Buys the stuff right out of the junkyard, fixes them up, does amazing work. Just really, and the way he does it, it makes me want one. Okay, and I'm not a big fan of anything after 1987. That's just me, but he makes me want cars like that. So, big special shout out to my boy on BST4 channel. By the way, I cannot wait until he starts working on his Maverick, which is a 1974 with an inline six. I'm not sure if it's a 200 or a 250. I'm not 100% sure. I'm going to guess and say it's probably a 250. So definitely, hopefully he gets to work on it as soon as possible. I'm looking forward to it. Just absolutely fantastic guy. You know, he's a good guy all the way around. Um, Also, for your hot rodding fix, for your hooning fix, check out my boy, uh, Cadillac Kid of the Cadillac Kid Productions. Um, he does a lot of driving around, and then when he gets a wild hair, he gets out there and he really does some awesome hooning. Just laying rubber down and sliding around. It's just awesome to watch. I enjoy giving him, I enjoy watching his stuff. As a matter of fact, one of my most favorite videos of all time is the one that he does. And it was with an old Camaro that he had. It was like a 1970. And it was shit that muscle car guys say. And it was so funny. I mean, every time I watch it, I can't stop laughing. He's just really funny. What do bumpers do? They bump shit, And every time he does that, it's like, he'll point at something. I've got this, but it doesn't work. But I've got it. I mean, you just can't stop laughing at him through that whole video. So if you've not checked out my boy, the Cadillac Kid of Cadillac Kid Productions, you are definitely missing out. Um, Now, briefly, um, let's see. Let's talk about Bert of Bert TV. Bert of Bert TV. Oh boy. Um, there is a lot. If you like controversy, this guy's got it. Okay, he's and let me say, I mean, I know he's got his hang-ups and that sort of thing, but Bert of Bert TV, Big Bad Bert, I know he's got his controversy, and in the last couple live streams, it's come up because everyone knows that that I've done work with him in the past, and we've talked together. He's even interviewed me, and we've done crossovers, and I've taken him with me to car shows, and we've had a great time. Let me tell y'all. I mean, I know there's a lot of controversy about him, and him and I butt heads on a lot of stuff. We do. We butt heads a lot on a lot of stuff, but I still respect his opinion. And let me say this: during a real rough patch, he's been there for me. Several rough patches. He's been there for me. He's been a good friend through a lot of rough stuff. And don't get me wrong. I mean, again, I don't always agree with him, and some of his videos have left me sitting there scratching my head, going, "What the heck were you thinking that day?" You know. So it's kind of like that. And right now, he's got a video where there's some people questioning whether or not he should have his cat Lucy. But I'll tell you, I mean, I've watched him interact personally with Lucy, and I mean, I've not watched the video, but other people have, and they said it's not what people are making it out to be. So I'm gonna, maybe I should watch it and decide for myself. But the people that are telling me are highly trustworthy people, and if they're telling me this, I believe them. It's not, it was all BS. But again, he does have his hangups. He does look down on homosexuals, and he struggles with that. Bert and I come from a time where that was okay to look down your noses at that. Um, it's not okay today. Times have changed. We have to change. He's just he's a little bit older than me. He's got like 10 years on me, thereabouts. And for him it's a little harder. The older you get, the harder it is to change sometimes on your world views. And that's just where he's at. So I've cut him some slack as far as it goes. Now I will say, when it comes to reporting news, when he tries to do, if you will, a variation of in your face, um, he he does, if you will, um, he goes off of CNN and Fox News and things like that, and those media outlets are really not well known for reporting very good news. They're not, and so he spouts off that stuff, and he's one of these people. Well, I've always been a Democrat, so that's just the way it is. Instead of, well, this person's doing the right thing, and he's bad about that. So your best bet is stick with the stuff outside of that, or otherwise you're not going to get the best. But as far as that goes, I mean, he does do great satire comedy, and if you like comedy, that's what you should check out if you like comedy. Um, and if you are kind of a Bible thumping type person, he does do a little bit of that as well. You won't get that on the Prince Magnum channel, okay? I know you don't want me to thump the Bible because I've done my research. you know, it's just one of those things. So it's kind of like that. So Bert is one of these guys that has a lot of controversy, but if you've had the opportunity to get to know him like I have off camera, you'd realize he's really about as harmless as they come. That's just one of those things. Okay. Mm. All right, that covers that. Covers that. Uh, right now, so far, this live stream is kind of a bust. But then again, it's Saturday night, so what do you expect? A lot of members of the Maverick Nation's out having a good time. For me, I'm just kind of chilling, just chilling like a villain, if you will. Let's talk about the mini movie. The mini movie, again, if I'm able to keep my schedule, it should be able to be released um, around the early part of August. Um, and let me give you a little backstory on it. I had a bad run in, with the Washington, Missouri Police Department. And the Washington, Missouri Police Department is not known for doing good police work. And we're going to answer the question, are they capable of doing good police work? How bad is it really? We're going to answer that question. And, we're going to answer that question. Are you safe in Washington, Missouri today? And I already know the answer to that, but you all don't know the answer to that. And you might think it sounds like revenge, but it's not. Um, Really, this is just kind of, if they failed on the level that I'm going to be showing, then they're going to fail on higher levels of investigation, which means that they really should not, they really, the city itself needs to clean house, especially starting with Detective Steve Sykes, clean house, get it all cleaned up, and start fresh all over again. Because if not, the city is, let's just say, uh, once this is released, property value in the city is going to decrease very rapidly. And again, it's not revenge. It's just, you did me wrong. And now I need to show the world why the Prince Magnum channel is not in Washington, Missouri. So, um, the star of that is really going to be Project Spirit, even though I'm narrating, because we used Project Spirit for this mini movie. And let me tell you, I'm just going to say it. I was very nervous because Project Spirit is one of these cars that just stands out. She stands out like a sore thumb. No question about that. That's just one of those things. She just stands out like a sore thumb. But she's an awesome car, but I don't blend in with traffic very well. Those cars aren't around like they used to be. And of all things, I did this little stunt on Christmas 2017. So I collected all the footage and got everything I needed. Right now, it's just a matter of editing and getting everything together and doing what I do, and it'll be ready to release before you know it. Um, we're I'm even having to, like I said, I've just been sitting down and editing, and actually we're at the stage where I'm well over halfway done with the narration. Um, we're it's just at that point where we're a good ways in. Well, gosh darn, I was hoping some people would be able to pop on and ask me some questions about the mini movie and that sort of thing, because I was wanting to see if anybody had any questions. Again, the mini movie will be coming out, and the title of the mini movie is called Protect and Serve. Again, reference to police, the Washington PD. Um, Off and on since about May of this year, I've been working on it. I've had the footage, but I wasn't, uh, it was one of those deals. So I thought it would be in my best interest to just wait. Let's see, what time is it? I probably won't go too much longer. I was hoping more people would pop on and ask me a half a gazillion questions, but we started, that sort of thing. Um, the crime that I was accused of by Washington PD was child abuse, And the answer is no, I didn't do it. Okay. Um, it's one of those things, you know, when they started trying to show, to make me, confess, um, and this is kind of what led up to it. Uh, they showed me these pictures and of these bruises on my son, and I'm like, that is it didn't take me long. Any novice could see it. It was the worst Photoshop job I had ever seen. um it was like that. So I'm sitting there going, this is one of the worst Photoshop jobs I've ever seen. How in the world can you guys, and I'm sitting there thinking, and they put me in this room to interrogate me. I had to have, and Detective Steve Sykes, he wasn't getting what he wanted. And as I was sitting there, he went out, turned off the camera, came in, and started tapping his fingers on his handgun. And I'm like, I looked at him straight face, said, if you know, if you're threatening me, you better pull that thing, because if not, you know, I'm going to take that as a threat on my life. You better take your hand off that piece. And you know, he kind of slowly pulled his hand down and put it by his side. And it's like, that's what I thought, because I'd hate to have to, take that thing from you and use it on you. It's not going to be pretty. Um, so it was like, at that point, I took that as a threat on my life, and, it was so, stuff like that, leading up to. And at the time, it was only him and I in the room, of course, if you had him on record, he would deny, deny, deny. Of course he would, a threat like that, Um, Of course, they took my son away. They threw me in jail. I was forced to plead guilty to a crime I didn't commit, and left on probation for 6 years and that sort of thing. As a matter of fact, poor Princess Faye was basically told what she was going to put on paper, you know, that she was going to, that sort of thing. And, it wasn't good. And since then, someone asked earlier in the live stream before this, earlier today, we're going to have any little princes and princesses. We have two together. I have a total of five, but together we have two because Princess Faye is about 14 years younger than me. Um, and that being said, you know, uh, talking about that, you know, the state of Missouri thinks it's cute to just kind of rip away children from us and that sort of thing. So, in a nutshell, we have children, but they're not here. As a matter of fact, right over there is a crib that's supposed to have one of our little ones and does not, because they just took the child. Yes.
Hi.
Hi, honey.
I just wanted to see how your live stream was going.
It's a dud so far. So I'm getting ready to wrap it up.
Uh, well, hi everybody in the playback.
It's just one of them things. As a matter of fact, in the last court date over our youngest, I want to just go ahead and say it again, and I'm going to say it for the live stream, so whoever catches it on the playback, I'm just going to go ahead and say it like this. Um, I was able to prove that all of the people that were representing the state were either lying, or they didn't know what they were talking about. At one point, uh, I I asked the question. I said, "Now you claimed in the first time, the investigator that came here, and you've all seen the video footage." I said, "You claimed that I shot my son with a BB gun." And she said, "Yes." I said, "So you read the report?" And she said, "Yes." I said, are you sure that what your testimony right now is accurate? She said, yes. I said, okay. So when it came time for me to go up to the stand, I turned around and pointed out, this is what was actually said. This is what you said. And I was able to actually explain it. In the report, it was an airsoft gun, and she said it was a BB gun. There's actually a difference. And I was able to point that out in that courtroom, as you know. So no, you didn't read that report, because if you had, you would know the difference. I said, you did not read that report. I said, an airsoft is totally different. It fires a 6 millimeter rubber bullet, well, rubber BB, whereas a BB gun fires a 1.77 caliber steel shot. Okay, the big difference, big difference between the two. And so, no, you didn't read that report, or you would know the difference. And all they could do is go, you know, you know, it was like that. And I mean, proved that I said, so no, you didn't read that report. You lied in this courtroom, which means that you are, that's a crime. It's perjury. I said, the information is right there in the report. I said, the judge can read it for herself. I said, I said, you lied. And the gal just, she was like, you know, all pissed off and everything. And I'm like, you lied. I said, let's go a step further. You claim that you didn't see this. It was staring you right in the face. Would you like, I said, what would have been the sense of even subpoenaing you know, the police chief? I said, because that information is now public. It's on my YouTube channel. You looked right at the stuff, you know, that was in, you know, the supplies and everything. I said, it was right there. I said, basically, you lied again. I said, because you said there's no problems with your eyesight, you have no mental disabilities. I said, you lied right here in the courtroom again. I said, not once, but twice on, you know, on record. I said, you are under oath. I said, that is perjury. I said, you got the people claiming this. And, you know, I said, you guys sat there and said that the judge herself is on YouTube. No, her name is on YouTube. She's not on YouTube. I looked right at the judge, I said, where would I said, I don't have cameras that small to hide on me. I said, you would have spotted one of my cameras. They're about like that. And I was like, where would I have hid them? She's like, so I'm not, I said, no, your name is. I said, I said, I compared you to another judge from history. And but I said, that's my opinion. I said, how are you on? I said, where would I have been able to get video footage of you? I said, you're welcome to look through my YouTube channel. I said, it's public for anyone to watch. I said, so they lied to you. And she's like, oh. You know, and it was like that. My son is still not here. You know, it's like that. You know, so if you will, it boiled down to I had them, but yet the judge still sided with them because they work for the state. You know, bunch of lying sacks of shit. Anyhow, so I proved it, you know, and by the way, our current prosecutor has not prosecuted any one of them. They're not sitting in jail awaiting trial. Okay? They should be. Perjury is a serious crime here in Missouri. It's a serious crime in any of the 50 states. But that's just the way it is. You know, here in Missouri, there are more criminals representing the state than there are in prison. So bear that in mind. So that's one of the reasons, you know, stuff like this, we're going to be doing more and more mini movies like this, proving that the state isn't who they say they are. You know, I keep telling Princess Faye we need to move to Cuba. I said, at least it's more of a free or communist country than it is here in the U.S. The U.S. is supposed to be a democracy, and yet it's, you know, there's more communism here than there is in Cuba. At least they got cool cars over in Cuba. Anyhow, so that covers that. So to answer that question from earlier, we do, but they're just not here. That's because the state is a bunch of lion sacks, you know. Anyhow, the state gets away with more than they should. Again, the state of Missouri has more criminals representing the state than they do in the prison. Okay, so that covers all of that. You know what? I think that pretty well covers everything. I mean, there's no one really jumping on or anything like that. So, what we're going to go ahead and do, we're going to go ahead and wind it down. Again, check me out on Patreon, check me out on Facebook, check me out on Twitter. Anyone? Oh, wow, we just had someone. No, I don't play the Xbox. My big concern is, yeah, of all the things, I'm getting ready to wind. I don't like the controller, the way the controllers feel in the hand, so I'm not a big fan of the Xbox. Um, I'll be honest with you, I prefer the older games. I'm more of a retro gamer myself. Uh, as a matter of fact, if I have a chance, don't be surprised. Uh, I would love to get my hands on an Atari 2600. That's which is a place not too far from here, over in Park Hills, called A to Z Games, and they sell a lot of retro game stuff. As a matter of fact, I think you can still go there and buy the Atari 2600. I used to love playing the Atari. Believe it or not, one of my all-time favorite games for the Atari 2600 is, of course, Pac-Man. Um, by the way, talking about old games, the video game Grand Theft Auto Vice City is probably one of my all-time favorite Grand Theft Auto games, um, because of the fact that it takes place in the 80s, and I was actually a kid in the 1980s. There's a lot of references to, to various things in that game from the 1980s. Obviously, it was kind of a, there was a lot of references to the movie Scarface, which was one of the. It is. It's a great game. There's a lot of references to the movie Scarface, which I own a copy on DVD. Love that movie. Um, that being said, Scarface was, it's a great movie. If you've never seen Scarface with Al Pacino, you've been living under a rock. It's one of the greatest gangster movies of all time. Real gangsters, not the not the crap you see today. That's not gangsters. That's just stupid. Um, but it's one of the greatest gangster movies of all time. Um, you know it. Uh, but Grand Theft Auto Vice City has a lot of mentions, to the 1980s, like some of the commercials, like the self-help commercials. There was a lot of self-help stuff around in the 1980s, and I vaguely remember that there was a lot of that stuff around. Uh, Obviously, all the radio stations, that was a lot of the music at the time. As a matter of fact, one of the strip club in there, called the Pole Position. Well, if you know your old video game cabinets, there used to be a racing game on a video game cabinet. It was racing, called Pole Position, and you had a steering wheel, and then you had a pedal, just an accelerator pedal, and a high and low shifter, and that was all you had. And as a kid, um, I loved playing that game. It was a lot of fun. It was great. I mean, I love that game. Uh, Unfortunately, finding that video game cabinet to play today, who plays video game cabinets anymore? But it was an awesome game to play back in the 1980s. And I mean, video game cabinets were really popular probably all the way up until like the mid 90s. And I remember as a kid, you could actually go into arcades actual arcades go in, and there was video game cabinets, skee ball, whatever, and you'd play, as long as you had quarters, you could keep playing for a good long while. But that was in the 1980s, and pole position, making reference to that. Um, let's see. Uh, the mall that you actually see in the 19 well, in Grand Theft Auto Vice City, that was actually a commonplace thing back in the day. You could go into a mall, and I mean, it was huge. And as a matter of fact, all the Valley Girl, the teenage Valley girls, that's where they did their stuff. Was in the malls. You'd go in there and you can get all this stuff done. Shoot, I mean, it was expensive, but it was cool to go. And I remember, like, here in Missouri, going to Chesterfield Mall, there was always something in there to get. As a matter of fact, that little gun shop that was in there, yeah, you could actually. I know up at Chesterfield Mall, there used to be a cutlery shop, and I remember going by it one time and seeing right in the window a big display of the Rambo knives, actually, the replicas of those knives from the movies, the original three movies, that is, the first two survival knives, and then of course the Bowie knife from the third one. So if you've never seen the Rambo movies, you've been missing out. Which brings me to one of the movie that they talk about in Grand Theft Auto, Exploder, which was reference to the Rambo movies, and of course Commando. It was kind of a little jab at those movies, but those were popular movies at the time. And of course, the slasher flicks of the day, of course, Nightmare on Elm Street, the Friday the 13th, movies, fantastic. If you like slasher flicks, those were really popular around then. And of course, the Halloween series, you can't say nothing bad about that. And you'll hear constant jabs, um, but being a child of the 80s, what I remember more than anything was He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. Obviously, the original Voltron series, which they have redone it. It's on for Netflix. They've redone, kind of rebooted the series, and I've tried to watch it. I've tried to watch the reboot, and if anything, I can't stand it. It drives me nuts because what it originally was and what it is today is just, it's night and day. Okay, Voltron in the 1980s was the best. It's just the way it is. Okay, so, but that is one of my favorite video games from back in the day. Grand Theft Auto Vice City. So if you like the GTA series, that's where I typically go to. All right. Well, I don't have any more questions coming up. So let's go ahead and try to wrap this up again. Again, check me out on Twitter, Facebook, Patreon. The Patreon, we've set a goal for $1,000 so we can do some really awesome stuff to Project Spirit. So if you have anything to drop in there, it'd be greatly appreciated. If you don't, hey, I understand. We all strap for cash nowadays. I got to work overtime just to get the spindles done on Project Spirit. Let's see. Be sure, if you're not subscribed, hit that subscribe button. Hit the bell icon. You'll be notified every time we upload a brand new video. Any positive feedback, leave it in the comments box below. Let's see. We will talk more about what's up and coming as time progresses. We've got a couple car shows coming up pretty quickly in August. Hopefully, Project Spirit will have her front disc brakes on, so we'll be able to test those out, see how much we like them. Let's see, that pretty well covers that. All right. Yeah, that pretty well covers everything. Be sure to hit, yeah, we talked about that. Okay. As usual, get out there and work on a project. Don't care what it is. Just do something with yourself. If you have a sweetheart, sweep them off their feet. Do something special for them today. And as always, for all of you out there, if no one out there has told you that they love you, Prince Magnum does. God bless you and have a happy 24. Thank you.